APAC has taken over the villa right now. It's part of the continent now.
They've moved their way in.
They've moved their way in. They've taken it over for a nice quick game of Siege. It's Mantis to go up against Guts Gaming. And as mentioned, if Mantis do manage to get a win here, overtime or regulation, they are confirmed for the major. And who would have thought that after their Stage 2 performance, which, well, just 6 points, wasn't anything too great. But this time, no contention coming out from Cyclops, which was the case in the last 2 stages. No, it is this time Guts. And now they meet. And if Mantis take the OT win or the full win here, they do go to Sweden. If it is Guts that take the win here, they have an head-to-head. And they will stall out that decision to the very last day, which will be next week. And that matchup gets played. Fnatic Guts, the last one to beat, on the 3rd game of the day. So it will take almost to the final day to find out who would be winning in that case. But we're nowhere near that yet. Operator bans have just finished. You see the duo of Mira and Jackal to be removed, and then Flores and Wamai as well. Let's see how that works out.
I'm curious for, I guess, the build-up here, because recently, you know, I guess it's always highlighted as this is a region where attacking can be good, but even across in other regions, Villa has had a bit of a swing with attackers recently. It's historically one of those maps where it came from a time that emphasized a heavy, solid defensive hold. It came from a time...
Lily's dog in the background.
What?
It's a dog in the background.
Yes, zoom in.
Snooping away.
No, he's gone.
Can we get a replay on that?
I really hope that we get that rolled back. Lily's dog, the most important content.
Exactly.
I had a point.
I'm sorry, just completely tossed that over the bridge.
It was worth it. It was worth it. The point was, we've seen a swing in attackers, not just here.
Yeah.
And I guess I want to see if that's something that continues today. Guts Gaming have been good on their attack, but most recently, in the most recent showdown, they lost. They lost to T1, a team now that has their second win.
2 in a row.
Of the whole year.
I was going to say, in 2 days, they managed to get more points than they've managed to get over the entire year so far.
Yeah.
Which does say something. And it is also going to be very, very difficult for the relegation teams that will be coming in and be like, you know, we got a good chance against T1, who are suddenly living up and are starting to really show. So I wouldn't be surprised if T1 lives through that relegation tournament. And I guess they'll make it to the major. I'm really living for that storyline. I really hope that they're going to be able to make it. Of course, some things need to happen here today, but the desk probably will be able to allude to that next week if that is the case. Either way, on the way with Villa, Aviator Games will be the first site. And we do see a shield together with 2 ADSs set up on the Aviator side towards landing, just to stop any push from the bedroom to come in, and just let that be the push that Guts Gaming seems to be going for right now. Everybody really going towards that bedroom, and Astro's side most likely will be entering soon inside master bedroom, trophy, and statuary. Oh, Envy Taylor coming up on the flank here. Just got misdroned as well. Not sure if he's heard that. Gets it down with a nitro cell. That's Lily to go to be dropped. However, no information on them yet, so it's just going to be an easy pickup, you would assume, before they continue their strike.
It's a bit of an early blow, sure, but as you said, there's nothing to really get the full confirmation there. Guts Gaming have the cover. They have the ability to sort of pull themselves away, but it's time. It's a lot of precious time that's sort of being thrown away right now. Guts Gaming can't entirely focus on the roam clear that they wanted to do. They're able to get Lily up. I don't think that was ever really in question as soon as we saw the Mantis player rotate off, but still, it's time that's wasted, time on Villa, and time that can be so precious on your approach on any of these sites. Here, they're angling themselves up for this take across from the bedroom side. They're getting the cover and the control around Trophy and Statuary, and then they're going to see if they can angle their way around 90. Long Classical Corridor will be the next fight, but as it just happens over the strategy table, they're well aware that there's still these loose threads, these players underneath.
Now look at it, the Syria laser gate will be deployed. There's 2 ADSs as well, and as the Syria gate does get wasted, the first one pops, the second one will pop soon, and now they need to get the explosive in, because if they don't, that shield will be protected by the ADS to come back up, and I believe they're rotating out, and that does mean that in about 5 seconds from now on, that shield, will be protected again. You just heard it there, the beep from the ADS, which means even more utility needs to be used, but a grenade from below is going to take easy care of that with Light picking up the first kill as well.
56 seconds, Light gets one, Shael gets a bit of revenge, swung around and played his own music inside the piano room. 3 versus 4 though, as JJ is able to get a bit of a pickup on the other side. There's a bit of a separation right now from the Mantis players, trying to either defend the site or find their way back through casually. One at the top of the brown brick stairs. They're seeing if they can put some countenance here against JJ, who's a little bit isolated. A great take on Envy Taylor, followed the traces and found gold as Shael goes for his second, dug in deep. He is building and bringing Mantis still into this fight. The canister is going to put a bit of a bout of separation. They're playing dangerously around the corners. The second pops off, but Meryu does as well. The diffuser goes down. So does Meryu. Another one for Shael as he digs his way closer and closer. He's looking for either of these two as the smoke is going to dissipate. They've got to see if they can get in close. The shotgun doesn't quite work. Light with the lock off, and Guts Gaming shut it down.
Yeah, pick up the first. The plan behind the vault door, of course, came through. Smoke canister's not in the right position to stop it from happening earlier. As a result, Guts pick up that first round. It's on the attack as well, but Philip showing some attacking tendencies lately. So it's always to wait until the second half to see how much that one round on attack for now means, because it could just turn out into 2, maybe even 3, and then on the second half as well, completely go the side of the attackers. Good round though. Early pickup. Lily being dropped, of course, into the DBNO state, but being picked up right afterwards as well. Made sure that they still had those 2 grenades and a Gun 6 available to waste ADSs, to get rid of utility, and of course have an extra gun available to take a fight, which is so important because it is still a one-shot headshot game. If you hit your shots before the other team does, before the other player does, you still win the game. It's as simple as that, and I believe once it was broken down by Stokes and Blue, as in you technically only need 5 bullets.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as that in the end. Technically, you only need 5 bullets.
Technically, yeah, you're not wrong. And everybody brings more than 5.
That's, yeah, so, you know, it's a lot of redundancy.
In case you miss. Yeah, I guess it's one of those things, it's that conversation if it does only take a second, but there's other intricacies. There's other dances that have to come together there. I think it was good work from Guts to rebuild themselves after they suffered in the early hours. There was a big roam play that came through from Mantis, or tried to, but it was only really Shael who was able to actually punish them for it and put some pressure back on from the flanks. Here, they've stretched themselves out across the top. It's pretty standard. They'll give themselves a little bit more room to maneuver around the AVG side and see if they can again sort of slow and stun and stem them. But Guts Gaming, they're doubling down, going for a hard push with the hold on the 90 window to see if they can funnel these flank players away.
Lights taking control. Now steady. Of course, grenade being tossed in from below will deal a little bit of damage to Envy Taylor, but nothing too lethal yet. Jordan's trying to get out some spots, whereas rotations are being open, and Lily tries to cut the pie together with JJ picking up the first. The Nitro gets tossed out, but will not be dealing any damage. As Lily picks up the second kill, trying to continue on towards the fight inside, and that's going to be a wall wing to come through. Euro picks him up. So it's just Shael and Static left. It's not looking good for Mantis here so far. Guts are really taking the charge here on Villa.
Bit of a risky play there with so many dedicated on the other side. 3 lost instantly. The first pick was the man on the cover rotation. There's one more around a similar statue. 2 dropped in the Monument Hall, leaves just Static around, surrounded by the dead animals. They have more life than his team right now. He's actually got a team kill out of them. Finds himself in a 3 versus 1, but he's out of bullets in that gun, so he might just try and find some semblance of safety. There's a rotation coming around behind him. There's also one on the split side. You could see the swing in the last window. It was a matter of time. But Guts, they made sure that they cut the rotations away from AVG first. There was really nothing that those 2 players could do inside.
Very well played by Guts there. They were quick. They had some pace. They managed to make sure that the pinches were on point. You don't just see one person running in. No, it's coming from 2.
Extra momentum here. Guts Gaming obviously knew that. Guts Gaming came in with the heat and the passion to try and burn themselves through and solidify themselves early in this game. Again, I've talked about the fact that Villa, we've seen it actually sort of angle itself towards attackers. Okay, at the minute, with the current meta, with the current operator selection and the way things are being driven, it's in a way got its own limitations by how sturdy a map it can be. now you can't really do the sort of long Aruni hold, the combo with the Wamai discs and the sort of setups that we like to see flaunted on maps like Chalet or maps where you can set these long sight lines up. Here it's kind of heftily structured. There's a lot of breaks and rest points.
That's it, right? You cannot create many lines of sights through 4 or 5 different walls, for example, or 2, 3 floors all the way down to the bottom floor, which is an option on some of the maps. And as a result, you're pretty stuck. You're just fighting there in a spot where if you don't, you'll die, and they'll take it from you. But something we've been seeing as well is like they set up the crossfires perfectly on Guts, right? But they also get peaked by not Cloud9 anymore, Mantis, who, when they do, fall back. But the pre-fires, the wall bangs that come right after one of those peaks have come through are so accurate. I think we already saw 3 wall bangs going on in these 2 rounds, which is quite impressive, actually, and it reduces a lot of the pressure from you as the attackers, because suddenly that room is clear. You know that they're not going to be putting up 4 people inside of a room next to the objective. So as Guts Gaming go on to the attack again, they attempt some wall bangs, but first of all, they need to make sure that the utility gets taken care of. And Envy Taylor, the first one to fall. They decided to go with the Valkyrie as they think they might have lacked a little bit of information. I don't think that's the problem. But, well, it is the choice that they go with for now. And indeed, as you can see, they know that they're coming from the bedroom side.
Now, the shotgun there on.
Medic said it was very excited.
He's a shotgun. Because it's not common you see it in the hands of a Melusi.
The Sniper 90.
It's not common you see it in the hands of a Frost. It's just generally not common that you see it. And sure, it's a good secondary pistol, but the primary, that MP5 is a heck of a hitter. So seeing this sort of setup, seeing this hold instead, I guess you sort of start to question how they're going to see, like, are they going to lean in with more aggression towards the potential swing on the red door? Are they going to see if they can just try and put some countenance down early? Yura takes care of Harper. Another great take. Another Mantis player who was just completely lost in the firefight.
Good pick from them, and now it's a 3-on-5. Yeah, once more. Guts are really setting up some good pace on their attack here. But you can also see a bit of patience. They don't just try and rush the side as soon as they get these 2 openings. No, they stay with their plan. Try and take care of everything as they go, not giving any, well, concessions. They need to make sure that everything gets their full attention.
Slow and steady. Guts have a moment, and they're making sure they use it, and I think that's the best part of their play right now, is they're doing these great setups. They're doing these holds, and they're punishing rotations and catching players through pings and wall pings and whatnot, but they're also not overextending when they don't have to. They're making sure they keep their pace, they have themselves set up to catch the players on the loose side and put themselves in these aggressive positions. The drones are coming through, there's the burn, there's at least a crossfire, and a flash drops down the hatch and finds a way out of there, and the cover's going to hopefully come from Static underneath, but it's a way that they've forced the player out. The grenades don't connect with anyone. Charles going to rotate his way back up the main stairs. He dabbles with the idea at first. The canister stops Mary. 15 seconds, and suddenly that dawdling is turning into a little bit more of a punishment. Light drives past, goes behind the strategy table, but there it is. The diffuser's cold. The shotgun starts to pop off underneath. Static is showing why they brought it. They didn't go for a huge clear underneath previously. The shotgun just can't connect. They're firing, and Guts somehow get it. A foot of difference.
Now, the shotgun was, of course, meant to work with the time, with the very final few seconds, and, of course, the information on the planting spot. Managed to pick up 2 kills, one with the shotgun, one with the nitro. But unfortunately, there were too many Guts members left alive on that top floor, so they could quickly pick it up, send it up to the next spot, which hasn't been opened up yet with that shotgun. And Guts, as a result, they take that 3rd round. It worked out quite well, just not enough. You can basically compare it to a bit of Pulse, right? You get information, this time from a camera that will be pinging out where they are. You start shooting with that shotgun. Of course, the Pulse is all-in-one, and that has the cardiac sensor and starts to shoot right after. It's also a combination we sometimes see. However, the UMP-45 normally takes priority over that shotgun. But I wouldn't be surprised if Static runs it now, considering he was the one... No, he has the UMP-5, never mind. I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he picks it up, considering he just used that shotgun like he did.
It was a Gambit play. There's the letter. Missed it the first time around. It was a Gambit play because they realized that although Guts were taking the territory that they wanted and going for the plant and being efficient in terms of the room clear,
Is that up? No, I didn't get it. 1. Beautiful.
But this is something that Mantis noticed, is they weren't going for a clear underneath. They sort of ignored it and left it and threw themselves in on the diffuser previously. They still had Shyle playing around this spot in this space as the diffuser was attempted to be planted before. It's a good adaptation, and it almost paid off.
Oh.
That didn't. Harper went for something hyper-aggressive, potentially, or caught out on a roam and a rotation.
That's the rotation.
Oh, dear.
He was just running across, got picked up, and his body fell further down the hallway. Static, however, able to pick up some good information here onto Lily. I believe that was, or was it Yura? It was Yura, actually, just running around there. Knows that they have opened up, knows that they are rappelling up to that top floor now. Of course, has the C4 available. So if he does manage to find a static player in terms of Guts Gaming, which is quite funny considering he's called static, he's going to be able to get that Nitro up and pick up the kill.
Well, there's a bit of a rotation, a bit of hard movement here as Static's trying to, as you said, fill as much intel and information to the rest of the Mantis defenders as possible. Guts are seeing if they can make a bit of an inroad and a bit of an ingress here onto the bedroom, but the wall is still dangerous, so the Kaid Claw is going to keep them away from getting that straight entrance that they wanted before. The sledge is going to start working, and the C4 doesn't do the work that it wants to. Went for the door and hoped for the play, but it's Shyle getting one, and Static with one more underneath the suppressor on it as Mariu saw a body pops off, but they've dropped down the hatch into the barrels of wine, and Vitaler is going to hold the angle, and look at this. The rotation round from Mudroom might catch Mariu by surprise.
It's the Jaeger Shal, I believe, that's coming around the corner here. No, he's just holding for now. Knows there's a player inside the living room. Mariu goes for the peek, and then Shal to pick up the kill. It's a 3-on-2 situation as Light strikes back onto that top floor. It's still 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. It's plenty of time for these two Guts players to try and get themselves into a position, especially with MV Taylor still trying to rotate back up to the actual bomb site itself. Succeeds in doing that, but they seem to be coming from the Memorial side.
That's it. The connector through to Memo is there, and obviously Shyle has the option to rotate around and put some pressure back on if he wants to. The deeper JJ gets, the more of a risk that rotation becomes. With Static offering some pressure and pulling back into the laundry room, he's going to be able to get his own read. Light is going to see if he can force Static into at least a 1 versus 1 or a more uncomfortable position, hoping that he sits there. He's not on the gadget now, but it's Audio that'll be the giveaway as they go for the swing fight. Will he spot him first?
Oh!
Yes! A great take there from Light as his luck and his skill continues throughout this game, but with 30 seconds, a 2 versus 1 as the diffuser gets dropped in Memorial. It's suddenly now just Light on the rotation. They're well aware where he is. He doesn't have much time. There's a camera there too, spotting all the dirty laundry. Light was getting done inside that room. Pop background to have a quick look at the Memorial and pick up the diffuser, the Memorial of his dead friends, with one chance here to see if he can pull one. He gets it. Now he's going to try and swing for the last. They're behind the chassis. They're hiding. They're hunkered down. They're keeping themselves locked in. And he gets it! Guts Gaming with a sliver of time and a sliver of body pull an unbelievable round.
What a round that was. Guts managed to get away with it whilst they probably shouldn't have. It was a 3-on-2 situation. The clock was ticking out. It almost hit 0. Well, I think it actually did hit 0 in the end there. In the very final shot into the back of the player on Mantis. And now 0-4 Guts are looking to put themselves up to a very good first half. 4 rounds is already considered. Okay, if we go back a couple of seasons, you would now be saying that they're absolutely wiping the floor with Mantis. However, as you said, it seems to be leaning a little bit more into the attack lately here and there.
I would still generally say
It's a good half. And
it's a very good half of Siege because they are wiping the floor. But, I mean, it's these punishments. Guts shouldn't have won this round.
They shouldn't have peaked out
Not
either.
in any sense. The sort of 2 versus 1, the Jaeger didn't have to peek. MV Taylor's in a trickier situation.
Just a pixel.
Yep, MV Taylor's in a much trickier situation there. Once that Jaeger died, he knows that he can't really move, and if he does, there's a much higher risk of just being swung on from the double door, and he's got to be the one that puts the pace down. It was a misplay from Shyle, which is a shame because at this point, for Mantis, he's one of the only players that's not that's found his way into the game, that has been able to put some fight back in.
See, if he would have just hidden behind that door and there was about 9 seconds left when he got picked up, if they go for the plants, you need to stick 7 seconds, which means you just take the fight somewhere halfway through the plant. So he either decides to stick or go off. If he goes off, then you know that he has to plant and the timer is going to hit 0. So you know there's multiple ways around it. But of course, who are we to judge in the end? We do not know what the calls are like in that case. Either way, Guts currently 0-4. Their half is so far near perfect. The last round was the toughest one they had. And they managed to almost lose that one out, but due to light with a beautiful clutch. 1v3, I believe it was in the end. Able to keep them in it, put them up to 0-4.
Now, the first blow came on Nova, around that corner of 90, where they're able to, as I said, capitalize on the fact that there isn't a clean way out of AVG. You have to try and force your way through a flat fight. There's no hatches to drop unless you slip your way through to study, and that's what they're doing here. Again, Guts Gaming is seeing if they can cut off that support network as MV Taylor tries to waste as much drone and time as possible. One difference here is Yura's going underneath now with the grenades. He only tried one before, didn't get the catch this time. Well, the first doesn't quite get the catch either. The C4 over the top doesn't either. A minute 30 wasted, and MV Taylor wants to try and step up, push them into a trickier situation. The first pop shotgun goes off. Harper suffers on the split around 90 as well. No, he's on the study side. It's an over on 90 that gets his kill onto the window. The fight gets scrappy and Yura gets study. But now they're going to see if they can try and wrap around MV Taylor. Nova's still doing his best to keep that supply line alive on the backside against the fight on the window. But there's only so much that they can do. MV Taylor does it himself.
From that range as well, managed to pick up a very long kill. Yura almost being spotted out with a Prisma charge here, but now knows he needs to push in. He's going to get swung on. And that is Shao to pick up the kill right through the Prisma. Goes back towards the red stairs, holds it off. Knows the last player is coming from that direction as well. It's a cleanup from Mantis here. A very convincing round in a game that so far has been quite quiet from them.
Quite quiet, it's an understatement. I think for a team that, to be fair, one of the criticisms that we've given them, even though they've been consistently winning, the criticism has been they play the game in front of them. Here, the game in front of them was quick, it was fiery, it was fast. They've already used their tack timeout after 2 rounds and they suffered 2 more. They've been able to finally find their first, and granted they were close before, but if it heralds the idea that they're waking up to an aggressive fight, there is no better time than just before you have to go on your attacks, because if they go over to that half and Guts still have that aggressive pace, it might spell a little bit of disaster.
It might, but it's also a little bit easier to, I think, maybe try and punish on your attack yourselves, right? You have the opportunity there to, you know, if you know they're going to be doing spawn peeks or runouts, to play into that with operators such as Nomad for those jump outs, or maybe even a Gridlock. It's not an operator we do see often, Gridlock that is. This does fill the role quite well. It's not just one projectile you have to shoot. If you let the tracks completely lapse out at some point, I think it's like 20 of them or something like that, maybe even more. So that is something to keep in mind. I don't even know exactly because it barely gets played.
It does, and you never would really see the full extension.
Normally not, no. But if you do have full control, you can just deploy it on the stairs, for example, knowing that there's no one there. That would be when it fully extends. That is how you can cut down some of the aggression as well.
All right, Mantis, can you get a second? Can you give yourself a little bit more of a buffer, but most importantly, take a little bit more of the pace? JL sprays through and sees if he can get anybody through the mudroom window, but nobody is going to give him that game that easily, that quick. Guts Gaming are aware that Mantis have found themselves a new staple of pace, and they're going to see if they can, I guess, keep their own, because with how quick they were, how aggressive they were, and how much control they had, they know that this could be very easily another round. They just have to make sure that they keep the focus on the game that got them so far. Capture and capitalize.
See, now there's going to be that evil eye, not the evil, the black eye, and that will be calling out whether or not the C4 needs to be blown up. And I believe as soon as they have the opportunity to see it and to start shooting that black eye, they have the opportunity, of course, to blow it up and pick up the kill. Oh, they might have lost it, Medics just said, and the Nitro needs to be recovered. Nova shoots around the ceiling, around it. Make sure that they have the opportunity to throw it into a second place, which now gets picked, and Mario gets picked up as a result.
The second explosion went off there at exactly the same time. Not a grenade, 2 C4s, but Lily gets MV Taylor back. Shyle is down. They're going to see if they can get the confirmation kill here as they slip their way around. The pre-fire locks it off in the end. The double for Lily. Drives Guts Gaming back into it after the early loss of Meryu. There's one more back, though. Nova still underneath, causing problems with the angles opened up previously. That is now your Hibana off the board. It's going to make some of this access a little bit tougher, but thankfully for them, this is the site that doesn't really need all of the hard destruction to make sure that it hits its mark. Still waiting patiently, hoping somebody slips into the range of that danger gun as they actually just move all the way over the top. It's a laundry rotation with a single body, and the other two are heading to red.
And TCSG, of course, a little bit of a slower rate of fire. Just 11 bullets in the magazine. And he's going to get peeked right on soon. I'm not sure if he's still inside of Memorial. Nova, no, he's fallen back just slightly. Has to be careful, though, because last time they did open this up, and Nova right now is going to have his position spotted out. Light picks up yet another kill, starts to sweep in, has the LMG, does not need to reload. He could just keep on taking the fights, but Harper, with his pre-fire, was a little bit quicker. It's going to be Euro in the end, though. Pick up a double kill, and it's going to be Guts that lead and end the half with a 5-1 scoreline. They're now going over to the defense themselves to see if it indeed will be an attacking side of Villa today.
Well, I said we've seen a little bit more of the attacker sizes.
It's a bit much.
It's a little bit much. 5-1's a little bit much, and it's also the manner that Guts Gaming have been putting it in, because you can have games with this result that have been closer than this for sure. And obviously there was, you know, a round that Mantis threw, I would say, and at best I think it could be a 4-2, but those are the 4 rounds that Guts had control of, like that end one, and like the first 3. They were so solid. They were so well put together, and it was just nothing that Mantis could get a handle on. They've at least got a breath. They've got a mistake.
Yes, they have one mistake.
And that's it.
And that's it indeed. And then suddenly it will be turning into a guaranteed point for Guts. Which, of course, is still enough for Mantis. If they manage to get an overtime win, they are going to be still going to that major. So they just need to get 5 rounds somewhere in the next 6.
Sweden.
To go to Sweden.
Now it's been posted.
Sverige?
I don't know.
One of the
Sweden, the home of Bikini Body.
and IKEA.
IKEA. And the Swedish chef. And the
What?
meatballs.
Swedish chef?
Yeah, that's a Muppets character.
Is it meatballs and tomato sauce, right?
Well, that's just general meatballs. Oh. Swedish chef's a character. You don't know Swedish chef? He's like pork.
I have never watched Muppets.
Really?
No.
Wow.
I don't think it was a very
like,
big
Netherlands.
Yeah, we got the Sesamstraat.
Ah, I know it well. Another approach here for Mantis as they find themselves on their first approach this game. And to be fair, attacks have been something that they've been able to thread together. However, this is easily the most stressed we've seen them as a roster this season, and this split even so far. And Guts Gaming still have that mantle of pace. They still have a lot of aggression and seemingly want to meet it as soon as they try and enter on the front door. That audio will give the game away of what they're trying to do potentially, as MV Taylor looks like he wants to start the buck in.
Do they know, though? Do they know? Is any of the drones spotting out this current position? I mean, they do know he's on the main stairs now, but Jeju can easily fall back and try and hold it from the main stairs. The main entrance, rather. Can also just fall back into other secondary positions. The Finka, however, is going to be coming out, and it's going to be the Gun 6 to be used to take care of a piece of utility, not actually of the Surya Gate. A drone just got used for that, and that means the pressure might be on soon. Nova looking to bring it through study. However, there's still going to be that shotgun player on these stairs. The smoke canister being tossed out right before the grenade takes his life. So he's going to be slowing them down just slightly, allowing a player to take and retake that position.
That's the game of grenades that we saw attempted before by Guts, demonstrated better. MV Taylor keeps the lockdown underneath. Suddenly it's just Euro left. A great explosion of Mantis all across the first and the second story. The flashes pop through. Euro has a little bit of a moment, but they're well aware of where he is. You can see them circling. There's a drone there too. And it's a flawless for Mantis to open up their attacks.
I was going to say, we're going to see whether or not this will be a very attack-sided Villa today from both sides. It might just be 6 rounds so far, of which 5 were super convincing onto the attack. And Mantis just managed to get there first. We're now going to trophy statuary. We're swapping the sides. We're continuing the rotation. As Guts Gaming, they know they only need a singular point to set themselves up well for the playoffs, but they need all three to put themselves into pole position for the Sweden Major. So that is what they're aiming for. And Mantis, of course, needing just an overtime win to secure themselves here today, just managed to set the first step on their attack. The first out of 5 steps to get towards OT, and the first out of 6 if they want to go for a full-on victory.
Still, one mistake. One mistake in one round slipping away from them is all it will take to put them in a much more pressured situation. The same is said for Guts, though. If Guts hit themselves on that map point, we've seen many a team start to crumble when the pressure is just one mistake will potentially keep them out of it. It is still a battle, and a great opening round there for Mantis in what is arguably actually the perfect opening round there for Mantis is something they can try and build behind here now. We're seeing another stretch across the top, the Goyo to give themselves a little bit more swing extension and potentially try and bait out more utility. The Finker is going to drive the back line. Then Vitala yet again taking the mantle of the Buck. Are they going to go a little bit more direct, or are they going to try and shepherd them out of AVG?
I think they're just going to try and get some extra information. And you saw it before as well, the drone's trying to figure out where the key positions are. So you know with which players and with power positions you really need to deal in that case. Respawn peak though, Yura from the master bedroom door is able to drop static down. That is going to be Yoriana gone. 2 grenades and a gone 6, and of course a Gemini replicator, which is basically just a free drone that recharges every now and then, are off the board. It's a man less that Mantis needs to work with, and that just as well could be that first mistake we've been talking about before the pressure rises.
That's it. They've put the pace up. They've made sure that they leave their mark. One of the first bouts of success of that early bloodshed from the defender side we've seen all game here. It's now down to Mantis to see if they can try and rebuild and recoup the losses that they've faced so early. As you said, Iana is an absolute bucket load of utility that is instantly gone. We've already seen some success from the frag grenades from Mantis on the previous round. Less for them this time around. They obviously still have Finker, they obviously still have Sledge, they have the option to try and burn their way through, but the role that Static could play there was just a lot more of a cost of utility, a lot more of removing some of those softer angles and getting yourself your eyes on the prize. Talking of, Shael slipped his way underneath, doesn't want to drop the camera, but at this point, realizing he won't get the take he wants to, will, as they rebuild themselves here, potentially trying to swing into them.
So to guide that grenade into the right spot, make sure there was no extra information coming down. A second grenade gets tossed in as JJ goes aggressive. Not able to hit anything as of yet, though. And with Light still being present onto the Astro stairs, might be meeting Harper at some point. As a little bit of skirmishes are going down across the map right here. A bit of damage is being done, but of course there's always the opportunity to heal back up with these adrenaline surges.
Now as they sort of wait for the angle to potentially bear some fruit, it's the trouble of the position on the stairs that actually leads to more trouble from the opposite side. They held it, expecting them to have moved out there. Guts Gaming are able to punish a little bit of carelessness, a little bit of expectation here, falsely proven by Mantis. Now, they have 40 seconds to see if they can reconnect with the diffuser and try and connect with each other. More importantly, as they're 2 players isolated and separated by a lot of very hungry Guts players that are leaning into every single firefight. Shall's gone round on the back stairs, looks away at potentially the worst possible time, almost caught out. Heavy Taylor at least gets the drop on 1, but we're looking at 25 seconds left. Shael picks up, goes for a heavy rotate. The diffuser is still not in hand. The barbed wire gives the first gunfight away as Meryu is able to find his first body of the game, and with only 10 seconds left to try and find the remaining 4, looks like Guts Gaming are going to put themselves onto map point.
Heavy running for his life right here. 5 seconds left on the clock. It's of course not going to be going his way here. And it is going to be Guts that win the round, and they have 5 extra seconds of timeout because they already have used theirs in round number 3, so everything that's available they'll use right now to make sure that this doesn't get any worse than this, because right now Guts is on match point. They're a single round away from putting themselves into the theoretical major spot, given they would win next week, because if they win this one in the next 4 rounds, all they need to do next week is equalize or better the points that Mantis pick up. And that is when they go to the major directly. And who would have thought that with Guts at the start of this year? You know, they've always been in contention for playoffs. They've never been completely out of it. It's been the mid-table team. But now, out of nowhere, with Cyclops dropping down to literally last place, it is Guts that rises up, and it's Guts that, you know, picks up that mantle, or tries to at least, and say, hey, it is our time now to go over to that major.
One more mistake. Guts Gaming. That's all you're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
You just need another round to go your way, and to be fair, you've been able to build a huge bout of pace. Mantis have an uphill. I think that's fair to say, based on not only the map, not only the presence, but also the persistence of Guts to make sure that this game stays at their pace. They're not sort of sitting on their laurels, apart from the first defensive round where they did, and they were punished for it. And then they went, wait, this isn't the game that's led us to not only so much success today, but on this split. This isn't the reason that the first symbol and the upwards green arrow is by our name in the top right. We're playing Guts Gaming's game, and it's down to Mantis to try to keep up.
They need to do more than keep up. They need to catch up, and they need to overtake. Because otherwise, they're not going to be going home with a win here today. 4 rounds Guts have to try and lock it off here onto the defense. Just a singular one needs to hit, and this seems to be a quick push from Nova and Static right into the side. JJ's not going to be able to pick up the first go, actually does with the Nitro, and Nova's inside with the diffuser, drops it as well, and now it's up to the rest of Mantis to try and recover this round as Harper tries and picks one up, manages to succeed. It's up to Shao now in a 1-on-3 situation.
Well, they went for a bold ploy and a strategy to see if they could lock it out quickly, and it might have just had the opposite effect. 4 players on the board, 3.5 if you look at Meryu's health right now. He picked up a couple of kills with the pace of a man who's finally found himself into the game, and that's much to the sadness, I think, of Mantis. Shayal, talked about him earlier as the player that had been able to get into some of the defender half and bring some of the success even in the rounds that didn't quite net that result. But here, with the diffuser pinged on the other side of the room, the first take pulls through, and he has more than enough time. That is the big asset. He has a minute 40 to try and find himself anywhere else. A huge gun. Some pockets of utility are left. Obviously used a bit on the push here. Going to open himself up a rotation and potentially try and swing around on the backside. Knows roughly where the hold might be coming from. Wants to try and punish the first. There it is, though. Light locks it off. Guts Gaming take themselves seated at the top.
Yeah, indeed, seated at the top, and it's equal points together with Mantis now, but the head-to-head goes their way. Hence the equalize or better results than Mantis, and they will be going to the major. Seem to be quite calm about it themselves. They know there's still a job to be done next week, but at least they have done everything they needed to do.